Welcome to the first ever episode of Tommy's Top Picks Weekly Roundup. I'm Tommy. I'm joined by my co-host John,
Hello.
and we are going to dive right in. So, how was your week? What have you picked up this week?
It was a good week. It was a really good week. Very quiet, generally speaking, because it was the holidays.
Right,
A lot of people traveling and the like. So I have been eyeballing markets like crazy because there's all sorts of fun, what I call discounts going on right now. And I bought a bunch of different things. You want me to go through the list?
Yeah.
All right. Well, the one I'm,
You
I guess,
definitely picked up
probably
more than I did.
Yeah, I've been busy. The thing I'm most excited about, I think, is probably the Storm Striders. I've been watching those for a while. They have not dropped in price as much as I'd hoped, but I really think with the stuff we'll be talking about later, that Wizard is going to have a place in this next set. So I'm excited to have those. Plus, I mean, they're good legendary, and I do want to make a wizard eventually. I think it will be a non-Kano wizard when I go to do that, but
Okay.
I'm definitely want to do that at some point. So you got to get the Storm Striders. Hopefully, they don't come out with new boots for them, and then I'll be disappointed with
Well,
that.
there's only 3 in the next set, and we know 1, so there's only
It's
2
a good point.
opportunities.
So high
And
chance that these will be useful.
right, and I think the second one is going to be Guardian related, Guardian specific, at least.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yep. And beyond that, I picked up a bunch of little cold foils. Got the Dread Scythe, Raiden Dustplane, Hexagore, Coax. Oh, I picked up the last that I could find, $60 or less Coax of Commotion First Edition Rainbow Foil.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I was watching some live stream. I think it might have been Fluke or somebody, and they were talking about, oh, what does this go for right now? And I looked it up, and there was one for 60, and the next one was 120. So I was like, I'll go ahead and grab that, and now it's worth 120. Now, obviously, the market will react to that, and it will come back down. But I just thought it was fun to grab it, and plus, Coax of Commotion seems like it's going to be good for the next set, so it seems like a good degenerative speculation.
Right.
And then. Oh, hey, did you pick up any singles or anything, or should I jump into my
singles? Not this week. The week before, though, which we didn't talk about because this is the first episode. I did pick up some singles to finish out a blitz deck of Kano, of Dorinthia, and Ira. I needed a couple more pieces. My degenerate Ira deck.
That's why I'm like, oh yeah, what did you get? Oh no,
actually,
it's already bad enough.
Yeah, I think I needed one more. I think it's called Ancestral Spirits or Ancestral Grounds. The one that, the attack reaction that adds 1 damage and for free adds 1 damage and draws a card.
Yeah,
seemed pretty good. But now that we have the new Guardian Felda that is going to prey on drawing card decks. I don't know how much it's actually going to see play, but we'll see. I think I might have just built a deck that is going to be not.
I think
playable.
Felda really does counter the low cost draw heavy decks. So your Ira, your Briar. It doesn't. I don't think it hits Kano. People have been talking about it a little bit, and it doesn't seem to hit Kano. I think Kano is fine. In fact, I think Kano might become a new superhero of Blitz, post Everfest, because Valda will counter the other heroes that are common, and Kano will be the last man standing as far as those highly aggressive decks.
Right.
And then I think on top of that, there's probably going to be some wizard love and support, which might make him interesting too.
Right.
Right. Unless there's another wizard that's better than Kano, and then that one might be the dominant.
We may get a new young wizard.
Yeah, I hope. I really do. I really, really want another wizard.
But we'll get into more of that when we talk about the new cards. The other things that I picked up were MetaZoo related. I got the Christmas bundle before it sold out real quick.
Nice.
And I got 5 boxes of the promos. I opened 2 of them, put out a super janky video this past week.
That had some issues.
Yeah. So it takes about an hour to export, and so then when I watched it back, I was like, why is all this happening? Because when you play it back before the export, none of that's there. It all plays smooth. And I was like, cool, we're good. It's 1 a.m. I'm going to export it, upload it, and go to bed. And then you messaged me in the morning. I wake up to a message from you being like, the video's so janky. I was like, oh, no.
I was like, what in the world? Because it's a good video. Like, it's nice. I like the messaging. I
Yeah.
like the cut-ins with the various movies and stuff.
Oh
That made
yeah,
me laugh a lot.
I was just having a blast making it.
Yeah, it was good. It was really good. But as I was watching, I was like, wait, why does it keep jumping back to the first pack? What is going on here? It's like really hard to follow what he's opening. And yeah, so it was just a bug in the software. It happens. No
but
big deal.
I
Nice
did
message.
Yeah. The cool thing is I actually did get some playable cards.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Especially the New Year's New Beginnings.
Yeah, that seems good.
Yeah, it's in a lot of decks. So that was super exciting. I got 2 copies.
Did you end up getting what was it, the Fancy Santa? I think I saw one.
I got 2 Santas. I got
You
2
did get
full
2.
hollow Santas.
Nice.
I think it only comes in full hollow, but
that doesn't surprise me. There's a handful that are like one format only.
Yeah.
And they're usually like the special cards, like the theme cards.
Right.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then I ordered a couple boxes of Cryptid Nation 2nd edition for MSRP, which was super exciting.
Nice.
That should arrive, but it doesn't launch until the actual street date is the 31st, so it can't be sent out till then. So
Gotcha.
I'll have it in the new year, and I'll do some box openings with that, and I may open all of them. We'll see.
I mean, it is 2nd edition.
Yeah.
It's meant to be like opened and played.
Right.
Although the way the markets go with MetaZoo, it may end up being valuable.
I think it will. But
I mean, the whole point is they're supposed to print to demand to avoid that, but it's such a popular, there's so much money being dumped into MetaZoo that it's hard to imagine how that's going to play out.
And not all the demand is in the market yet.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of people that because just in January, 4,000 of the, I think it's 4,700 Walmarts are going to start carrying it.
That's the word. Although there's no official statement on that.
Yeah.
I can't find it officially anywhere. It's just one podcaster put that out.
Well, there's also, they were talking about it in the official Discord.
Is that where it came from,
Yeah.
the official Discord?
Yeah.
Oh. Did they say 4,000 stores?
I believe so.
Okay, because that was the big question mark. Is it really 4,000? Because if it is, that's like 95% of Walmart's immediately, which Walmart, if you know anything about retail, they don't do that.
Right.
They'll do experiments where they do small, 100 store release, see how it does, and then they expand it. Doing all of them right away, I don't know how he pulled that off, but
I think it's just the one product though. I think there's only one product line, which is going to be it's a new blister pack, and I think it's because right now they just have 1 pack in them. I think they're 3-pack blister packs. That's what I remember.
Interesting. I know they have exclusive stuff that was announced that Walmart will get, but I haven't heard what that is yet. And it's probably like pins and things like that.
Right. The pin club has me looking, but
yeah, there's a lot of
they're
stuff
really cool.
they're doing there.
Yeah, and they each come with
exciting.
Each come with an exclusive card. Same card, but different art.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch that in the new year. I'm hyped. I mean, I bought way more MetaZoo than I intended to. So not as hard as
I remember a conversation where I hear
like,
John
what
go,
have I done?
Look, I have way too much MetaZoo.
I do. It's fine though.
I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to open at least 2 of the 3 and then see where my collection's at, if there's anything I still need, because I may just buy singles and keep the last one sealed. We'll see.
Singles are so hard. They're expensive. That's the cool thing about MetaZoo. Like, you buy a box, you crack that thing, you got your money back almost guaranteed. I mean, it's not 100%, but it's good. And then you also get all the extra cards beyond that value card. So it's almost worth just cracking boxes until you get everything you need.
Oh, for sure.
Because the way it works, if you're willing to sell the cards.
Right. And you have it, it's not like everything is in 1 or 2 cards. Like in Flesh and Blood, you open a legendary, that's the box.
That's it. That's the value, yeah.
With MetaZoo, you open a box, there's 36 packs in the box, not 24. And 2, it's more evenly distributed throughout the cards, the value.
Yep. Yeah, I did an opening, and I track all the values of what I would sell. I had so many cards that I thought might be valuable. I basically cut it off and said, okay, I'm not even going to bother looking at these cards. And it was like, I want to say 20 or 30 cards. At the end of my Flesh and Blood videos, I have 6 to 12 kind of range. It was 20 plus cards, and there was others that were probably worth something that I didn't want to look up because I got tired of looking up all these freaking cards. It was nuts. So they are fun to open. Very fun to open. Very fun to go for the single sales thing, and I think they got that ratio right.
Yeah, which is exciting because then if you are looking to flip some of the singles that you don't need. Where in Flesh and Blood you need a playset, and in MetaZoo you need a playset as well, but it tends to be the valuable cards are one per deck or 3 per deck at max, like the Thunderbird. So
stupid Thunderbird.
Oh, just wait till you see the deck I'm building.
Oh no.
There's a preview.
Yeah, I'll have to look
one
at
of the decks I'm building.
Yeah, I have to build something too. I started and then I totally forgot about it. Honestly, I started cleaning up all this extra product that I'd opened.
That's fair.
Whatnot.
We'll get to it.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah.
So other boxes, anything else? I got a whole list of shit I bought.
Yeah, go for it.
So I just got confirmation. I got Creepy Rudy's product has shipped.
Okay.
It is. We can see that. Okay. It is. He did the Eternal Masters set, so that's now going for me. So I get 2 boxes of Eternal Masters, which I've never had before. It's below retail, so it's time to pick that up. It was pretty good. And then the other stuff was, what else did I get? I got a case of Unlimited because I needed a case of Unlimited Toa for the shelf, so I got that. And then I got loose boxes from him, which I was a little disappointed at because he did a set. It was Toa Unlimited and other stuff that comes with it, but it was a little pricey, but it came with the little Blitz decks and a promo card and stuff. But when it came in, I was expecting it to be a sealed case, but it was 4 loose boxes, a promo card, and then the 3 decks. I was a little disappointed at that, so I sold one of the boxes already. I'm going to sell another one, and then I'll probably crack the remaining 2, because apparently Toa Unlimited or Tales of Aria Unlimited is very odd, the distribution of cards. And speaking of distribution of cards and boxes, if you haven't had a chance, WTR Unlimited is awesome. I don't know what they did, and I don't know if it's like randomized good and bad cases, but I just finished the case that I've been working on, and I pulled 2 legendaries in it.
What? And
a ton of other stuff, including like E-Strike and whatnot. So it is way better than the normal situation. And who was it? Saint did a video on it. Actually, I think, was that Crucible or was that? No, I think that was WTR. He did like 10 cases, and he got an insane number of like high-end cards. He's like, this is outside of the regular distribution. So I don't know what happened. I think these Japanese printed WTRs, because I think it was all this one Japanese printer, because everyone talks about the edges being weird.
Yeah, so like, that printer. Is this the last run?
I think it's, I don't know if it's the last run, but it's whatever is very common out there right now. These WTR Unlimited, something's weird with the distribution of cards. I did it myself, and I pulled well over the value of the case, and I was excited about that. So worth it if you have the cash, especially since I think everything's kind of affordable right now. It's not super crazy yet, even though it's out of print. It didn't like spike like the other sets.
And then on the other end, you could have luck like me, where you open an entire case and you don't get a single legendary, and you're
high. That WTR?
Yeah.
Which was it? The Japanese print with the weird edges?
No, I had it. I was sitting on it.
Interesting. I wonder if that is the difference then. I wonder if they changed the distribution to like pump things up a little bit. I don't know. That'd be kind of weird though, because that would have been a while ago. They had to make that decision. So,
well, I mean, they had seen the prices of certain Majestics. I don't know about legendaries, but
Majestics. It could be. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me and my boxes. I got a bunch of stuff. It's good.
We didn't really.
What else is going on?
We didn't play much this week, but I did want to talk about some comics. It's not a giant week in comics, but if you are listening on a podcast platform, you might want to check out our YouTube channel, where I am showing some covers right now, and we're going to show some other stuff later. You can look up Tommy's Top Picks on YouTube. We'll pop right up. So this week is a interesting week in comics because it is the end of the year. So the end of the year and the 5th week of the month, or the 5th Wednesday of the month, is always typically a very annual heavy, very... Not a lot of books are coming out, but there's still some exciting stuff So you have Detective Comics 1046, which I'm really excited for. You have Batman leaving Gotham. You have the new Spider-Man Beyond continuing. You have Devil's Reign, which I'm really excited about. Chip Zdarsky's transitionary, almost like a penultimate to his Daredevil run. We have the continuing, we're almost done with the Death of Doctor Strange. Harley Quinn's always fun. Once and Future. Ice Cream Man. If anyone, don't be, just because there are 27 issues, Ice Cream Man is one you can feel safe picking up every month because each issue is its own story. So it all revolves around this Ice Cream Man and different people around him. But it's a horror book. It's a great book.
Interesting.
There is Task Force Z. I ended up dropping this one just because my list was getting a little too big. But it's a very, it's almost like a Suicide Squad, but led by Jason Todd. Zombies, and Jason Todd kind of being a zombie because he was brought back from the dead, yada yada. I've heard good things about the Star Wars Bounty Hunters, but to get into the Star Wars comic book world, you kind of have to designate a lot of time because there's a lot of books.
It's not surprising.
Yeah.
It's a huge IP.
Yeah, and it's Marvel, and Marvel likes to put out way too many books. One big pickup that I would suggest is Swamp Thing Greeny Hell. It is, let's see. Yeah, written by Jeff Lemire, who's one of my favorite writers. Artist is Doug Menke. It is a black label, so it is not technically canon. It is book one. But so Black Label is DC's more adult-oriented comics, and typically they are in the larger format, so they don't fit in your standard comic book bag and board. It's almost like a small trade, but the pages are even larger. They do sell bags and boards for them, but they're super hard to find and super annoying. I don't even bag and board my big ones, except for my, what was it? Blanking on the name of the title of the book, but it's the first appearance of Batman's Wang.
Okay. Of course that's what you have.
Yep.
And you bagged and boarded his Wang, huh?
Yep. The other big pickup this week is going to be Stray Dogs #1 Dog Days, which is Stray Dogs is a book. This is the follow-up. There's the original Stray Dogs, which came out last year, I believe. It was a huge hit. It is basically the story of these dogs that were all captured by a serial killer. So the serial killer would kill somebody and then steal their dog. And so then you have this group of dogs that were all taken captive from this serial killer and how they get away. Very interesting story. They do a ton of different variant covers, kind of showing off like old spoofs off old horror movies.
It's funny, right?
Yeah.
Horror.
Yeah. Let's see. Manifest Destiny. I was reading a long time ago, but kind of fell off. It's kind of the journey of Lewis and Clark across the country, and it just kind of dragged on.
Yeah, I imagine that journey was pretty boring. A lot of sightseeing and not much else.
Well, of course, this one adds a bunch of monsters and stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Makes it more interesting at least.
Old Star-Lord, Wastelanders, Star-Lord #1. So you have Star-Lord as an old man doing his thing. More Star Wars. Don't think that there's... Oh, Life is Strange. The comics have been pretty good based on the video game. Kind of continuing that story. Let's see. Then down here you have all the weird risque things that no one actually picks up. But sometimes there's some gems.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
That's where
through all of it.
that's where I found Chicken Devil. I really like Chicken Devil.
Right on.
But so the videos we put out this past week, if you're interested in taking a look, we have my MetaZoo video that is super clunky, but it is Christmas and it is fun. A little happy holidays from us to you. And then John put out a quick speculation on what our main topic for this podcast is going to be, which is the Everfest Adventure reveal. And then Blood in the Streets. I don't know if you want to talk about Blood in the Streets a little bit.
Yeah, it was basically the market overview. It was more of a ramble, a little bit of a different format, talking about where things are in the market, generally speaking, and how some of the predictions earlier in the year have sort of come to pass at this point, with prices declining around the high-end products and the very collectible stuff, and a quieting down of the market in general because people are busy with the holidays and that sort of thing. And then an investor's perspective on how to approach these sorts of markets, just from my professional point of view.
Cool. And last one that was still technically part of this week, 6 days ago, I put out a video talking about the organized play situation with MetaZoo. I talked about a discussion that I had at the last Armory event I went to for Flesh and Blood. I was talking to the store owner about how John and I had played our first MetaZoo game and we'd really enjoyed it. And I was asking them if they had any plans to hold any organized events for MetaZoo, and he laughed and was like, no, because the customer base at the store that is buying MetaZoo is not there to play MetaZoo. Basically, they are buying and then selling. What makes it worth it is this store doesn't price gouge too badly, and they were selling the packs at $4.50 each. But this is a store where you can't just go buy a box, so you're limited to buy 12 packs at $4.50 each, which is much closer to MSRP. If you were to buy 3 sets, it's much closer to MSRP than, like, say, the $205 box that it's going for.
Yeah.
But I have hope that it's going to change. Maybe not at that store, but at least stores around us, some more stores will start once Cryptid Nation comes out and is available.
Yeah, I think that's the key. The second edition printing is really for the players. All this stuff before now is essentially for collectors, and the market reflects that.
Yeah.
Hopefully the player version of it is well received and you see more and more events and things happening. But I mean, I was talking to people online about this a little bit just to get a sense once you put this topic out. And one of the things that came up was there isn't that much play support, right? Like MetaZoo doesn't put out like promos for the stores or anything like that. Like they're not giving, like, you know, when you go to a Magic event or or Flesh and Blood event, they have promos and stuff to give out. Like the distributors give those to every LGS that orders that product. It's part of the way you promote the game for play, and they're not doing that with MetaZoo yet.
They're about to.
Is it? Do you have a date? Like, have they announced a date yet? Because I haven't heard anything specific about it. I've heard their idea is they want to support organized play, but I haven't heard any actual details.
I haven't. Yeah, so I have heard dates. I haven't heard dates, but I heard January.
Okay. Well, then we'll find out very soon.
Yeah, and
it makes sense to do it with the second edition because it really is the player centric. It's print to demand. It's, you know, that's the idea. So
right, and so that's why I asked, because it was the middle of December, and but to be fair, they don't even have their armories listed yet for January. So
we'll that store. Yeah, I love them. They're great.
They're great people.
Yeah, it's a great store, but they're definitely behind. They don't future plan much.
No.
It's clear.
Yeah,
which is fine. Yeah, they were still giving out promos from like 2 months ago at one of the events I went to. Yeah. I was like, wait, I was supposed to be able to get this card, and you're not giving out this card.
Yeah,
so, it's fine. You know, some of that's distribution too, like how fast you can get the stuff.
Yeah.
So, but things you have to deal with.
The other thing, I was watching a box of Cryptid Nation second edition being opened, and a couple people had noticed the same thing, that it's a little bit higher quality production. So like
that's good.
Like the hollow foils for it are actually a little better.
Nice.
and the packaging is a little more sturdy compared to
I liked the
first
packaging
edition.
before. I thought well, I didn't ever open first edition
Right.
Cryptid Nation. But
They were comparing it to first edition Cryptid Nation opposed to Nightfall,
okay.
and they were saying
no
it's closer to Nightfall.
Oh, that's good because
Yeah.
Nightfall is.
I
like
love
Nightfall.
it.
It tears right open. It's nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's nice and like, but the actual box itself isn't rattling. It's very
right on.
packed.
Yeah, it's solid.
Let's
Cool.
see. Then we have.
You want to go through? Was there news or something we need to talk about?
Is there anything we're planning on doing? So
I'll do my market update. I know that.
Yeah. So we'll have John's weekly update that you'll find on the YouTube channel every week. And then you will have. So I'm actually going away to visit my family for next week. So, but I will be bringing some sort of setup to be able to record something. So we might be able to get some gameplay in. No promises. But we are looking to build. We did our theme deck Nightfall gameplay for MetaZoo. But we are starting to build our own first decks. And hopefully I'll be able to get that set up so that we can film a couple games. Get that up. And what else was I going to do? Oh, and I have a ton of bulk cards that I need to sort. So I'm going to be using vacation to sort bulk cards.
Yeah, that's why my desk isn't available. It's covered in bulk cards. Tommy had asked if we wanted to record a Blitz game, and I'm like, nope, can't do that.
All right, then we're filming the first podcast.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you want to, we kind of talked about it already. We were going to talk about the card market. Is there anything that you wanted to touch on besides what we already talked
nothing
about?
Crazy. Just,
I mean, it's the holidays. It's quiet time.
Yeah, it's holidays. It's quiet. Cold foils are going down. I'm actually intrigued with the concept around first edition rainbow foils and their price movements. Even the commons are like $5+. It's been happening over the past few months, but I haven't paid close attention to it. So I'm now peeking at that and seeing if there's any good opportunities, especially around the cards that might be good in this upcoming set and what we'll talk about in a minute. I think there might be some good, it's definitely degenerative speculation, but it's fun speculation if you can think about what this set might bring and what we can look forward to. So that's in my other video. I have some conversation points around that. So.
Yeah, and I know it is the holiday, and what you had told me, or what you had mentioned a couple days ago about why all this is dipping, and it's totally normal for all the products to be dipping, especially this time of year when people are spending most of their money on presents and holidays and not towards hobbies.
So normal.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
And
totally.
so we expect to bounce back with Flesh and Blood before Red Round Everfest and when the organized scene really pops back up.
Yeah, I think COVID will have an impact too because the organized scene.
It's still keeping the organized scene down.
Yeah, exactly. And it impacts things, right? When you see a deck win a national or some sort of major recognition, people go out and buy the cards. It's obvious. It happened with Prism. It happened with Briar. It just happens, right? And so without that, exactly. Yeah, Ice Lexi was a good example. It happens, and without a lot of that happening, I don't know if you heard they canceled Auckland's nationals.
Yep, I did.
Yeah, so which is unfortunate because we're going to have a cut national season. It sounds like I think they're keeping one of them on, but
New Zealand,
obviously,
I think is
New Zealand still on? Okay, but I wouldn't be shocked if tomorrow they announced they've canceled it because of COVID and all the stuff that's happening. It would be super sad, but it wouldn't shock me.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that would be a hard situational decision they're gonna have to make because when we had on the 14th when they didn't ban anything, the reason was because of these two events.
Yep.
So if those two events,
canceling one of them.
Yeah, but I mean, how much gameplay is actually going to be happening between now and then?
It matters for the living legend standpoint,
right?
Which is the thing that affects cards, right? In my opinion, I think that's what it is. People see those points tick up, and at least that's what I'm doing. Is I watch the points for the living legends because when a hero goes out. Like, for example, just to make it simple, Levia is Shadow Brute. Well, guess what? If she ever gets the Living Legend, Shadow Brute cards are going to be less valuable immediately afterwards if there's no other Shadow Brutes. Because there's a handful of cards that will only work with her. And, obviously that's not important for Levia, but it is for Briar, who is quickly approaching the point max,
which is nuts.
Yeah, exactly. And so you start to see these things, and it does have an impact. It's worth keeping an eye on, and I watch it closely. I know others do too, so it's not just me. This is definitely a thing. But with COVID and slowing down of the events and kind of the nationals being delayed at this point, everything's off kilter. So I don't know when the market will pop back. I would be willing to bet that after Everfest comes out, or maybe around the spoiler time, which is the end of January.
Well, it's only a week.
Yeah, it's January 22nd to the release date of the 4th of February. Yeah, so I'm actually okay with that. They've been doing a good job with the hype.
Oh no, yeah, I'm just saying that's not a lot of time.
It isn't. And so I think around that period we may get some hype and some market pop, we may not. And then once the cards are actually out and people start playing with them, I mean, I'm excited about it. I think there's a ton of stuff that's about to change, and it will be. I'm excited about it.
Right.
I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so think about it. You're aspiring pro. You want to be playing the best deck. You are looking at spoiler season. You want to be playing that best deck at your next armory the following week.
Yep. I know people are already playing with Valda and Life of the Party. And they're already playing it. They're proxying it out to see how do we use the cards in play now, which I think is it's aggressive, but I guess if you're trying to be competitive, it's worth it. Although I don't know how many people are competitive in Blitz, right? Because there's a little bit less stable of a play base that way. But either way, point being, people are actually playing it right now with the idea of being ready for Everfest release. So.
Right, but we also don't know what other Guardian cards or generics that we're going to be putting in there.
Yeah, I mean, there could be massive changes there. That gets us into our final topic here.
Yeah. But there was one thing about that I wanted to bring up was you were talking about when you were talking about Living Legend. I heard one discussion on how so you have Bravo the Showstopper. He reaches Living Legend status. In the next set, you have Bravo
with the big shoulders.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
You have Bravo, the non-showstopper. Just any
the other one.
Yeah, the other one. Bravo, the other one. But so then that still provides a way for people to play the Bravo specializations, because when you have that Living Legend, if there is no other version of that hero, the specializations, what do you do with them? Nothing. Nothing.
Go away. Yep.
And those are mythic cards. Like those are.
It's a good point.
But we'll see. I think that's a smart direction to go. I do want to see other new heroes, but at the same time, in a couple years down the road, when we start seeing some of these characters go out, I think that would be a good way to bring them back. But obviously, but that gives them a way to kind of errata them without errataing them. Is you can give them a different talent. You can give them a different ability.
Way. Yeah. Well, and I think there's a fun piece to that goes with some lore development. Because you think about it, right? You have the young heroes, and then you have the titled hero, right? The adult. And
so what happens when the young hero?
Yeah, you can have in between, right? Because what if there's a middle, between young and that full blown version? Maybe that's not the concluded version. Maybe that's like they're just starting to get their power and be good. And then later on, they have a different title when they become even more powerful or something, go through a transformation, fall to the dark side and become half demons. I mean, think about it. Levia becomes this tentacle demon. Something happened in between there. What does that look like? That's cool.
What happened to you?
Yeah, exactly. How did that happen? Who touched you with their slimy tentacles?
I think they have a lot of different cool things that they can explore, which does lead us into our main topic, is FAB getting PvE? Is that happening? Is that the secret set after Everfest? So again, if you are listening on podcast services, you might want to now check out our YouTube, where we are showing a grand adventure, which just popped out today, December 26, 2021, where it's almost setting up the road Lexi took to Everfest, right? With a bard and a blacksmith and a magician, which I find interesting that they called her a magician and
that
not
was a good catch.
A wizard.
Yeah. It's an aspiring magician
Right.
too. Like they even name her as not fully in her power sort of thing, which I find this fascinating. And
Mhm.
I talk about it in that other video I put out, so check that out too if you want to hear my deep dive on it. But yeah, I mean, these aspiring characters are perfect, minions or side characters. And even the image, go back to the image if you could.
Yeah.
It has Lexi. She looks all epic like she does with her crazy
Yeah,
shoulders
I mean,
and stuff.
she's-
And then everyone
she's
else is wearing like
established.
kind of plain clothes,
Right.
kind of boring stuff, which
She's
makes you
the
think,
hero.
okay, they're minions. Yeah, exactly. So there's some cool stuff with that. But yeah, the story goes through a whole thing where they feel earthquakes and stuff up at I forget which mountain it is, the lightning mountain, and they go and check it out, and the mountain's like split open, and they're like, "Why is that?" And the dwarf, who's a blacksmith and is with the party, says, "Hey, look, it's not open. It's moved. It's like mechanical." And so they go and explore inside, and there's an armory inside, and there's I guess a table or something that has a missing slot in it, which everyone suspects is the new gem, the Rudy gem that was previewed in his special kit, and it's missing. So if you think that's what it is, then now you're setting up kind of an adventure to go and find that thing. And then they find some text they can't read. The bard writes it down. And then they go and visit the queen. Well, I guess there's a handful of other things happen. They talk to the local sages and such. Nothing works. Then they run into Oldheim. He joins up with them after smashing the bard's lute, which is another call out that there's a potential bard class as a support character, which makes a lot of sense. And then they go. He's a grumpy old man, which is kind of funny. I like his style in this one. Once he joins them, they go and they find Briar somewhere, and then she takes them to the queen of the Briar Patch or whatever it's called. There's like a special place for Briar's people. I forget what it's exactly, Rosetta's or something like that. Yeah, I think it's called Rosetta, something like that. Anyway, so they go there and talk to the queen there, who's like partially wood, and she's actually featured in some of the cards in Tales of Aria, so it's kind of cool to have that call out. And she tells them they need to go talk to a seer, and the old kind of seer, like the I guess ancient mystical seers or whatever. And they're like, well, where the hell will we find that? And then they happen to be sitting, I guess, at a pub or something, trying to figure out what their next step is. And now you have the full party. So you have Oldheim, Briar, and Lexi together, right, as a party with the support characters as part of the party, which I love this concept. It's like you're setting it perfectly up.
So maybe you're not playing as the support characters, but you have the support characters.
Maybe they're just cards in the deck, because think about how many cards we have that are just like random characters we don't know, right? So maybe it's card called like Song of the Bard or something like that, and it adds health to everyone in the party or something. Like there's ways
and they're
to play
generics.
it. Yeah, exactly. Like there could be some really cool stuff. But anyways, back to the story. They find a flyer of Everfest that happens to advertise Sears, and so they're like, oh, I guess we're gonna have to go there. And then they have a drink at the pub, and that's kind of where they leave it off. So the idea is they're going to Everfest because they're on this epic quest to figure out why the freaking magical mechanical mountain opened up, which, by the way, also like gives call out to mechanologists and stuff. It made me immediately think, oh man, there could be like a new type of mechanologist.
I mean,
tied to this ancient tech, right?
Everyone's getting something in Everfest.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, look at that. That's cool. So, I mean, they're setting it up. Oh, and one of the things they saw in the mountain was all these murals of ancient like evils. Like there was a red dragon and a tentacle beast from the deep, and like there's different scenes. And so my guess is this thing opens when there's a threat to the land sort of deal, and there's that gem or whatever is in there to help protect the land or something of that nature. I mean, we don't know yet, but I'm guessing it's something like that. So it's that kind of classic D&D setup, and of course it kicks off in the tavern, which I love because that's if you've ever played D&D, it always starts in a tavern. So you have this gem they have to go seek, and some big bad evil is out there, right? At least that's kind of what they're foreshadowing. So it's cool. They have it really set up for this PvE concept, and there's obviously no guarantee that this is going to happen, but James White himself said in an interview it's something he has in mind. So this could be it with the mystery product, which is released like right after Everfest. I think it's either at the end of February or they just said it was in Q1, something like that. But it's very quickly in succession to Everfest itself. So we should see some information on that pretty soon.
Yeah,
so it's exciting. It'll be fun.
Okay, so here's the question: how do they do PvE?
It's a good question. I've seen and done a lot of different games. I know some people like the way WoW did it. The WoW card game apparently did a really good job having rating decks.
Yes.
I never played that one.
The new I did a very long time ago. I don't think I could speak to exactly how it worked, but I did play it when it was first coming out. And then I did also recently do some research because the Final Fantasy trading card game also has the same thing.
Is it like a dungeon delve, or how's it work?
No, it's you fight a boss deck.
Okay, so it's just a boss deck, a boss fight type deck.
And gotcha. But it is, I guess it's not really PvE because it's asymmetrical PvP, where you have someone piloting the boss deck, and then you have people piloting the raiders.
Gotcha. And so, yeah, it could play something like that. There's no reason why not. And I know in Magic, there's a couple formats where there's like a boss fight or a boss deck type thing. And it is piloted by someone, but they are also playing. So it's basically someone has to draw off the top and put it down, and it does different things how it plays. I mean, the mechanics are a big question. It makes a big difference as far as what kind of cards are going to be interesting, available, what sort of things we should look for in support characters and things of that nature. Are they going to be full-on heroes or not?
Right. Or are they going to be, say, a 30 health hero, somewhere in between?
Yeah. I mean, there's all sorts of different things. And then you have the question of loot.
Right. Yeah.
Loot that comes from this. And one of the things people are speculating, when you go and play an event at a store, you get XP for playing. Right. Well, what if there's a whole XP track that has long-term character development implications?
Oh no!
And loot things that you can only get at stores in the Flesh and Blood, which is something they've always promised to do as support. Right. I mean, talk about a way to get people to stores, though.
Oh,
if there's special cold foil loot that's adventure loot that you can only get if you beat the boss at the store during this month or whatever. Oh man, that's gonna make it'll change the dynamic. We'll put it that way. It'll change the dynamic.
Or like maybe like you find a treasure chest, and it's so you have this new set that's coming out, right? Mm-hmm. And the packs are made up to be for PvE, and they have what I'm hoping for, and am going to disappoint myself because this probably isn't going to be what it is because of how I'm predicting it. But you have different products, right? You have your standard booster box that comes with cards that will help you build decks to be able to do this. But then you have almost like a board game box by default that is almost set up like Dice Throne Adventures. Mm-hmm. Where you have the boss deck, which there's, for lack of better terms, an AI script that it follows, where you roll the dice, and depending on what roll happens, there's a list of things that it will try and re-roll for, and because Dice Throne revolves around rolling dice. But this would be like you draw a hand, and then based on this, again, lack of a better term, AI script, you play cards in a certain way. But that's predetermined.
Seems reasonable. I don't think it will be as complex as all like Dice Throne style. No. It'll probably be is like the product is maybe multiple boss decks, right? Kind of like a commander deck style. Right. Well, that's where it's like a whole thing.
Yeah, that's what the Dice Throne one is. Is there are multiple bosses, but there's also the like a dungeon delve.
Yeah, that's the part I'm excited about.
That's what I really hope they do.
There's some sort of dungeon delve. So there's another one called Dungeon Dice. That's a deck-based dungeon delve game with bosses in it.
Yep.
And essentially you go through the deck, and the deck is like, I guess they each count as like a door. So you flip the top card and you open the door.
Right.
Or there's a way to like peek at the door. So you can there's like, you can see through one door, or you have to go through the other blind. And so you get a choice of like, do I take this thing on, or do I go blindly into this other option?
Right.
And then each thing is like an encounter. It can be like a trap. It can be a bunch of random small monster type things. And then over time you develop like kind of your own skills by beating these things, because as you beat them, they add to your character's power.
Right.
And then you, at the end of each kind of section, there's usually 3 bosses in a dungeon. So each section has like a first tier boss, second tier boss, and then a third tier boss. And the third is like the super hard boss. And if you haven't set yourself up right, you're going to lose. It's really hard. So something like that, where there's a progression and a development, you know how I am. I love progression and development.
I really hope
and that makes
that.
it really replayable. That's the key. And
making it a living game.
Exactly.
Like you have your D&D character that you go on these journeys with. You have your Flesh and Blood character that you go on these journeys with.
I would love that. Now, that is asking a lot of LSS.
Sure,
They're making a very specific game, and that is very widely outside of their specific game. But they're brilliant at their mechanics, so maybe they can pull it off.
But when I talk to friends that aren't into Flesh and Blood, but are into other card games, the number one thing I hear of why they aren't is because of how intimidating it looks and how competitive it is, which I understand that's what they're trying to do, and they're trying to appeal to that market. But there's always benefit from having a casual demographic. And I think having this, and just because I feel like there's a big gateway to entry, and when you put it down to PvE and you're working together and you can help the person on your team play, they will learn, and then it will be less scary and less intimidating to jump in to the other more competitive side.
And I think to pull that off successfully, like, this is my hope, even if they don't do the whole dungeon component of it, whatever they do, these encounters, however they work the mechanics, it has to be highly replayable. Because if it is just a one deck where card 1 is always this, card 2 is always that, it's going to get boring really fast.
That'll be boring after the
first game. And they're
game.
smart. They do very cool, dynamic, and changing product line, the way it works, I think each card adds. I think they're going to be smart about it. I just don't know how variable they can be with a single product release. Because, again, we have the calendar coming up for general releases, and there's not that much regarding... I haven't heard anything about any additional stuff. There's this one secret product, right?
Right.
What's going to happen from that?
There's one secret product, but could that be a line of PvE products?
Or can you draw on the rest of the sets? Is there a way to pull brute shadow cards into your boss fight?
What, all the stuff that's now out of print?
Yeah, exactly. Stuff that, because if you think about it, 1, it adds demand for older cards and other card product stuff.
Yes, but
2, it opens up the variability. And if you can open up the variability, it keeps it replayable and interesting. Yes. Now, granted, maybe it's just here's an easy intro product, and that's the goal. If that's the goal, then maybe easy scripted is the way to go.
I don't think it needs to be scripted, but I think it needs to be it needs to be an easy access point, because with them, everything's out of print. Now, the prices aren't high yet, but whenever
it's not that big deal to get cards.
Right, but when Everfest comes out, what's the situation going to look like then?
It still will be fine.
Okay.
Cards are really, really cheap. So one thing to talk about regarding this is they are clearly reactive. And someone brought this up. I forget which YouTuber it was, but and sorry for not giving you a shout out. I should, but Felda is a reaction to the current meta, right? It's clearly a design structure to counter current blitz powerhouses Ira and Briar and and the like. So by putting this out, it's sending a message to everyone that, hey, we are designing to help evolve the meta. We're designing to help
forgotten and
exactly. It won't
blitz.
just be it won't just be something where it gets stuck in a format, which is awesome. And I'm hoping this new product is the same way, because that will allow for a whole different game dynamic. I mean, think about how Commander plays in Magic, right? There's people that go for their Friday Night Magics all the time, and there's people that just play Commander.
Oh, yeah.
And it's its own thing,
and
it drives an entire secondary market. Yeah, it's huge. And this could be just as huge. And I'm kind of hoping it is. I don't personally care either way, because I like FAB as it is, but I think it would be awesome to attract more people, driving different market dynamics, different secondary market desires and needs, which then, of course, changes card prices and makes things way more interesting for investor types and collectors that are trying to, gain value in their cards. And again, part of the attraction of this game is that nothing goes out of use. You can always use it. So by those cards being more demanded by these different game types,
Yeah. Oh,
and
sure.
only so many of them, and out of print happening, and
Right.
then again they can reprint stuff if it gets over,
Right.
out of control,
Yeah.
obviously. But it just creates this dynamic that's kind of a positive reinforcing loop, right? Where it's like, oh yeah, this new thing that drives demand for these cards that no one ever played from these other sets, is now attracting attention to those cards from a speculation standpoint, which then makes them more valuable, which then drives them to put them in print again
Sure.
through a new set, which then, it's just a good, in my opinion, it feels like a really healthy market that happens as a result of that, and a really fun set of gameplay, because frankly, I get bored of Blitz sometimes.
Yeah,
It
no,
just
and-
feels
yeah.
like static. So
Well, I mean,
that's-
even in the last couple sets, things haven't changed that much. In
that
Blitz.
much, yeah. Ira is still Ira.
Yeah, Dorothy's still Dorothy.
Yep, and Briar came along to be Ira 2.0.
Yeah, right. And so
it's like, what?
So even though there was technically a change, there wasn't really.
It felt very similar.
Yeah.
It feels very similar. They're different. They do play differently, but I mean, Briar Ira I see is almost the exact same mentality in the optimized deck format for Blitz.
Right,
For Blitz,
right.
and constructed, it's a different story. Obviously, it's
Right.
there's a much more complex game, which I like. That's one of the
Right.
reasons I like the complexity of it with your sideboard and all the rest. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited. This stuff got me so hyped up. I read this late last night. I was like, oh, I got so into it. So yeah. Well,
we can talk about some of the cards that we have now seen for Everfest, even though the preview season isn't starting until the end of
Sure.
January. We did get some cards shown, and starting with Felda Bright Axe, the new Guardian young hero that we were talking about just now. The interesting thing right off the bat is that she has 21 health.
yeah, that's strange. Curious why they decided to do that.
Yeah. But we have, let's see here if I can get this.
Wonder if that's a hint at something coming up, like something related to your health value being a thing, or maybe the
Sure.
person with the most health gets something, or a card that says you can only use if you have more health than your
Oh, well,
opponent.
yeah. Yeah, print more like the life for life.
Yeah. Which she defaults into being able to use.
Right, yeah.
Pretty interesting.
So whenever her ability reads, whenever an opponent draws a card during an action phase, create a seismic surge token for each card drawn this way. At the start of your turn, if you control 3 or more seismic surge tokens, cards you own with Crush gain dominate this turn.
So it's like a weaker Bravo, because Bravo just pays to gain dominate. Right?
Correct.
And so this is like a setup Bravo in a way, or a setup dominate capability. But
Right.
it's a super, super useful counter to the other draw decks,
Correct.
particularly Ira, because Ira's heavy draw. Briar's like, I would say medium draw.
It basically makes the helm almost not worth it to play because maybe you switch
which helm?
the Mask of Momentum.
Oh, right. Yeah,
Because
yep,
the whole
yeah,
thing
yeah.
is then be able to draw a card.
Draw. Yep.
But I mean, against other heroes, obviously that's the choice. But in
Also
this,
slaps down Lexi and well, I guess Azalea's not really played that much, but Lexi because of the draw 3.
right? Yeah, yeah. Because then that's a
Auto dominate next turn. Oh,
Yeah.
Ow.
yeah, which is pretty wild. Now I can't see you really gaining dominate on 2 cards for that, but it's free, so it's a free dominate on a Crush.
It could, because seismic surge tokens reduce cost of your next swing.
Right, but then go again.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, you
Yeah.
do have to have something like, I would say Snapdragons, but they have to be on cost 1 or less. So you have to
Right.
have something that gives you go again. You're right about that.
Because with the Crush cards, all the Crush cards are none of them are
not
cheap.
go again. Yeah,
No.
that's correct.
And they're
That's
not
correct.
cheap. So the cards you're
But there
pitching
are-
to pay them.
There are some cool combos like that deck we were looking at with the auras that add all these bonuses
Oh,
to
sure,
it and whatnot. Yeah, so you can just come in with a massive swing, and that's what you spend the rest of your resources on.
Yeah,
Because you're gonna have extra cards with this, the way this is set up. 'Cause
Right.
You're gonna pay less, and you're gonna have dominate. I mean, it's gross. It's a gross setup. The question is, we'll see. We'll see how it plays. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm definitely planning on playing her next Blitz season.
Cool.
because I was
Definitely
already.
something to speculate on. Buy all the crush cards.
I have a decent amount of them actually. I just don't
Yeah,
have.
they're
I
pretty
just
common.
I just need the seismic. What is it? The chest.
Gotcha.
What is it? Totemic plating. Totemic plating.
Yeah, tectonic plating.
Tectonic plating.
Yeah, I was looking at the rainbow foil crushes for first edition. Basically, anyone who wanted to like bling out a Volta
Right.
deck.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But they're already expensive.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're already pricey.
But yeah, and then so in addition to Valda kind of bringing down the aggro, you also have the other card that was revealed. This round's on me. If I can get that.
This is screams PvE.
But
Just screams it.
But also it screams screw you, Ira. I saw this and I was like,
true.
oh
That's
no,
true.
oh no. My daggers are now swinging for 0.
Yep, generic action.
Yeah, so anyone can
use
play it.
Yep.
Yeah,
One cost, not bad at all.
But you don't sideboard in Blitz, so you're gonna have to put this in all your decks, which I don't think is that bad of an idea. It is a mythic though. It is a mythic.
It is a mythic. One cost, 3 pitch, 3 defense, right? So it's got the value by default.
Right.
Yeah. Each hero draws a card. Now this is where I don't know if you really do want to use it in PvP that much because you don't want your opponent to draw a card. And this would allow them to. I think this is really set for PvE. Yeah. I mean, I guess it is. It does counter Ira, but letting Ira draw a card.
I mean, cheers to good times and good friends.
That sounds so painful.
I know, yeah. So she's drawing a card, but you've already removed her ability to get her Mask of Momentum. You've eliminated her ability to attack with her weapons.
With Volda?
No. If you're using this just against Ira with anyone.
Well, no, this doesn't remove Mask of Momentum at all.
Well, the way Ira decks are built, even it is very hard to get 3 hits when you have a -1.
On the I see.
Because you have to hit 3 in a row.
You have to swing cards.
You would have to swing with cards each time, right? Because you're swinging for your daggers. You're swinging for 1, so you're swinging for 0 with your daggers.
I wonder if that still counts as a hit, even though it does 0 damage.
No, because you didn't hit.
Why wouldn't you hit? It's just a -1 damage. It doesn't say that it doesn't hit. I don't know. I guess maybe you're right. You're probably right because that would be kind of weird and cheesy. But again, I don't know that this was really designed as anti-Ira, although it does definitely make a bad time of it. Because I don't know. Ira with extra cards is terrible though. You don't want that.
Or maybe you just use that turn as a setup turn.
Yeah.
But it says but then you have go again on this. So you're still able to continue your turn.
Yep. This is great with Briar.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Let's go ahead and use this with Briar.
Yeah. Non-attack action.
1, but
great.
You toss a red, you draw a card. Yeah, exactly. Non-attack action.
And it specifically says attacks that target. So it's weapons and attack cards.
Yep. Yeah, it's all cards. So it's a defensive card that also allows me to draw 1. Yeah.
Right.
Let's go, Briar.
All right. So this round's on me. I love the artwork with it. I
do too. They have a playmat they gave out to I think influencers or whatever. I saw Fluke has one.
I want it.
I was like, what is that card? It was just in the background and everyone's like, what is that?
But then so the final card that we have had shown is Life of the Party, which was showed with Valda when they released the Armory kit. It costs 2, pitches for 1. It's a red. And this is where all the crazy brew spec is coming into play. So it reads, it swings for 4, blocks for 2. You may discard or destroy a card you control named Crazy Brew rather than pay Life of the Party's cost. If you do, choose all modes. Otherwise, choose one at random.
Yeah, so let's just talk about the basic numerics of this card. So it's a 2 cost that has 1 mode, unless you have a Crazy Brew. So you definitely need to combo this, otherwise it's almost not worth it. Because a 2 cost, 4 swing, okay, it's over the break point, but it's 2 defense and 1 pitch value, and you're only getting one of the modes. It's kind of not really worth it. But if you're
So it could swing for
ditching,
6, or it could swing for 4 and go again.
yeah, so it's still a +1 point value when you're talking about how valuable the card is, because it's only a 1 mode, right? But if you're crazy brew killing, right? So instead of paying, you're discarding a card. So instead of it still costs you 1 card out of hand or wherever, right?
Right.
Maybe off the field because Crazy Brew is free and can be sitting there the whole game. You dump that, and you get a free 6 swing, go again, gain 2 life card. Like, what? That is wild.
That's pretty nutty.
Sick. It is a powerhouse. What were you saying then? Can you what?
So you could just have Crazy Brew out? Can it just stay
out?
Yeah,
it's a potion. Okay. It's a potion. All potions sit on the field until you use them.
Okay.
So when you pay for them, you put them on the field, and they're like auras, except auras typically have a way to get rid of them. But
and then you can use them whenever.
You pop.
So you don't need to have. Okay, so that makes this pretty nutty then, because then as long as you just you're setting it up beforehand.
Yes.
How much does Crazy Brew cost?
0.
Okay.
It's a freebie blue pitch.
Yep. So you put this out, and then you put that out, and then you wait to draw your life of the party, or you already have it in your hand, and away you go.
Yeah.
You're swinging for 6 with go again, and if it hits, you gain 2 health.
Life.
And
for free.
For free, and then you're going again.
Yeah. It's gross. It's talking about like gross combo deck player.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason the spec on Crazy Brew went nuts, because this is really powerful. Now, the reality is they're probably going to reprint Crazy Brew, so I don't think it's the best spec.
Right, yeah. I mean,
because it really feels like if you do this without reprinting it, that'd be a little weird. There's plenty of them out there. They're not like, they were super rares, which aren't like crazy hard to come by.
They were like, what, $5-6?
They went up. The fancy ones went up over 200. The like really expensive, like first editions or whatever.
The alternative art.
Yeah. Well, no, not even the
extended art.
The first edition. The alt art I think is still like way up there. I forget what it is, but it's been expensive for a long time because I've been wanting to get one, but they're so rare. But the regular ones shot up to like $15 at one point. They're back down to like $2 now. So anyone that was waiting to buy them, go buy them.
Yeah.
But they were over like $10. It's like, what happened?
Yeah.
It's not that good, guys. You guys realize they're probably going to print them again, right?
Yeah. I'd be very surprised if they didn't.
Yeah. Although those, and the other thing to think about, whoever uses gambler gloves, right? Because Crazy Brew is a dice roll, right? So anyone that likes using gambler gloves, which I guess are like Reinhardt's, anyone that does dice games, it allows you to affect a die roll. And if you're using the Crazy Brew for its brew purpose, it might be worth having that as a backup. It's like, oh, okay, well then I'll just use it for the resources, action points, and +2 on the attack, and then not crack it. Or maybe you find yourself with 2. You have 1 on field, 1 in hand, and life of the party. You crack the 1 in hand for life of party. You use the other one while also using the full life of the party. Like, there could be some really sick combos there. It would be it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out.
Yeah, that'll be interesting for sure.
Yeah, that's exciting stuff. I'm super hyped for this new set. I don't care.
Oh yeah, it's going to be awesome. But now we just have to play the waiting game.
Yeah, well, previous season soon. And clearly they're doing a great job keeping the hype alive because pretty much every week something new is being revealed that's like really worth thinking about and talking about. So
yeah. I wonder if they announce what the secret is before, or the set after Everfest before Everfest.
I don't know. If it's story tied like this adventure thing, they might tease it some more like they are. But then not actually reveal the product until after, because I'm guessing part of the product release we're gonna hear some of the story through the cards of Everfest, right? Like the seer reveals or something. Like, it's gonna be stuff with flavor text and whatever that's gonna be kind of indicative of where things are going. And then you don't want to spoil Everfest cards by spoiling the next product. You see what I'm saying? Like, basically giving a preview to what those could be. So depending on how they actually work the cards and the story towards the secret set, which based on this article, it feels like they're going heavy on it. You wouldn't want to reveal too much. So, but it's going to be quick because you got Everfest release, and then shortly after this is coming out. So I don't know how much spoiler time they're going to have on this. Maybe they don't do spoilers on it, you know?
Right.
Maybe it is all pre-con decks, so spoiling it doesn't make much sense. I don't know.
Yeah. Or just show off some of the heroes that you're playing as or whoever.
You know what would be worth looking into is how they revealed Blitz and Pit Fight. Because if they did any kind of tease leading up to Pit Fight and Blitz, because both of those were like revealed things, I believe. Right. Maybe Blitz wasn't, but Pit Fight definitely was. That might be one of those situations that kind of guides how they do it this time, whether it was successful or not, or maybe they change it. That's obviously possible, but it might be something to look into to see how they might do this.
True. Will certainly be interesting. Yes, is there anything else you wanted to touch on before we close out?
No, but tell them where they can find us and what to watch.
You can find us on YouTube at Tommy's Top Picks. You should watch everything because it's all great, super professional content. And
I wouldn't do that. It's good content. It's fun.
And then you can also find us on Twitter at Tommy's Top Picks, where I post comic stuff and card stuff and what you should pick up each week in comics. And those are our main two. We do have an Instagram as well that I sometimes remember to post things on, but it's not very friendly for posting videos because basically we have the link to our YouTube channel in our bio, but it does not really. Twitter and YouTube are where we host the videos most often.
Yeah. So come check us out. And I do weekly market updates discussing what's happening in the market, how news like this affects and impacts prices from a slightly different perspective than you might hear elsewhere. And I do that. I try to get it out around Thursday or Friday, but sometimes it's a little delayed. This week will be weird because of the holiday season, so it'll probably just be a quick one. But every week I'm pretty consistent.
Yep, and we're hoping to start. This is the first episode of our podcast, and we're hoping to continue it. I had a lot of fun, and I think it will be basically Jon and I had realized that we've been having all these discussions because we have a weekly meeting on Tuesdays, and we have been having all these discussions. We're like, dang, that conversation we just had, that could have been a cool video. So now we're trying to capture those discussions in the form of this podcast. So let us know what you think in the comments. Let us know if there's any topics you would like us to discuss. If you have any questions, if we get enough questions, we will create a questions section of the podcast where we will answer your questions. And if there's anything you would like us to do or see, let us know. We'll look into it. And until then, we'll talk to you next week at episode 2.
See you next time.